Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 books of the year so far. So I like to split my top 10 into like two halves in the year because I can't choose like I can't choose just 10 for the whole year. So yeah, so this is like my top 10 from January to June. So yeah, so in my journal I have like, so this is like top 10 for the first half and then this will be top 10 for the second. So yeah, so I've got my top 10 here, so I'm just I've crashed into that so many times. Yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about my top 10 books of the year so far today, and these are all fantastic books so you should all go and read them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is probably not a surprise, and that is The Sort of Kagan by M.L. Wang. So I just love this book so much. It's like so emotional and heart-wrenching. And just the kind of relationships it explores are just all done so well. It's so beautifully written as well, like just kind of sucks you in. And the like magic system's so cool. The kind of, it's like water bending but on crack, because it's like they can like summon blades of ice, and there's also a bit of like blood bending type powers as well. And yeah, and the story follows really interesting structure as well. It's like the climax of the book happens from around like, on my Kindle is about 45% to 60%, and that I think is really interesting because it allowed for the end of the book for like a lot of time spent kind of on just like emotional healing and characters like confronting each other about these kind of consequences of war, and just how you see how it really like affects people. And I think that was done in like a very kind of emotional way. And yeah, and the main character Misaki, she's just so like, she's such a great character, and she's like so strong, and she's like a mother, but she kind of has a lot of regrets about her past, and just seeing her kind of grow and realise that she has this like family that loves her, and like the sisterhood and everything, and it's just all so good. Like, I'm so bad at articulating my thoughts on books, but yeah, I just love it, and yeah, you should all read it. And it's free on Kindle Unlimited, so no excuses. Okay, then next is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. So I love the Shadowhunter books. I have a ranking the Shadowhunter books video which I filmed like ages ago, and I'm gonna put it up at some point, but yeah. But I love Chain of Gold. It's probably like my third favourite Shadowhunter book. Spoilers for that video. Yeah, all the characters, I just love them all so much. Like Cordelia, she's like one of my new favourites, and Alistair, like, he's a complete dick at the start of the book, but then he just grows so much, and then you just want to like give him a hug. And Matthew, oh what a disaster, but I loved him. James and Lucy and Jessie, oh yeah, I just love them all. And yeah, there's some artwork in the start of this one with all of them, yeah. And yeah, and the Merry Thieves, like Christopher, oh I loved him. I love how he like blows everything up. And Thomas, oh how could I forget Thomas, he's like such a cinnamon roll. Oh yeah, so the characters were such a highlight of this book for me. And I love the Shadowhunter world, and like yeah, and seeing Will, Gem and Tessa as well. And yeah, just so good. And I'm really excited for Chain of Iron, which is the next book, but that doesn't come out till next year. But yeah, this one, so yeah, I just loved it. I mean, the plot, it was there, but that wasn't really what I was reading the book for. Just like the characters and the angst. Ugh, there's gonna be like a fake relationship in the next book, but is it really fake? We won't know, but yeah, so I'm so excited, so yeah. Okay, then next is Age of Myth, which is the third book in the Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. So I've read this whole series this year on audiobook, which you should definitely read the audiobooks. They're narrated by Tim Reynolds, who's like my favourite audiobook narrator ever. I'm going to do a video, I think, on my favourite audiobooks, so look out for that one. But yeah, I just love this book so much. This is probably, like, I love this series a lot. So 3 and 4 are probably my favourites in the series. My least favourite, probably 1. Yeah, the first one. Because I feel like the first one, you're just kind of getting into the world and you don't really follow, like the characters you follow in the first one aren't really the same characters. Well, they are the same characters, but the focus shifts a lot more in the later books to different characters, which I quite like, because some of the characters I just absolutely love, like Bryn. Oh, I love Bryn. And she definitely like has her moments like in the later books, I'd say, because the series like split into 2 halves. So the back 3 are kind of like Bryn's books, and then the first half like Persephone and Suri. So yeah, but all the female characters in this series are just amazing. They're all so good, and there's such like a variety of them. Like you have Persephone, who's like this a leader, she's like a clan chieftain, and she's kind of lost her family, like her husband and her sons, and she's just like trying to kind of become this like leader of the people. And yeah, you have Suri, who's like this kind of wild mystic who like lives in the woods with her pet wolf. Then you have Bryn, who's like the kind of bookkeeper, and she's just so sweet and like really kind of Ravenclaw-y, although we shouldn't be using those terms anymore. You have Moira, who's like, she's very like kind of defiant, and she's she's described as being this like, I don't know, quite like sexy woman, but then she really wants to be like a sword wielder. That sounds really dirty. No, she really wants to like be able to fight and stuff, and then she kind of becomes like super badass, and yeah, she's so great. She's very entertaining. And then you have like Federa, who's like this old woman who like just constantly roasts people, and yeah, just the characters are also great. And then as well you have Tesh, who's just this like little himbo. Oh, I love him. And yeah, and his like plot, I just love that throughout the series. So yeah, so I just love this series. This video has just turned into a Legends gush, but no, I really love it. And the third book, Empire of Myth, I think is my favourite, just because of all the kind of, it's like I said, it's like in two halves, and quite a lot of stuff gets kind of wrapped up in this one, and there's just all sorts of cool stuff. There's like a bit of a ghost storyline going on as well, but like it's called a route, kind of a ghost, which I thought was so cool. I just love ghosts. and yeah, and like Suri, and seeing her like come into herself and her powers, and that's just so good. So I just love this book, and I would highly recommend this series if you haven't read it. And next is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. So I just love this book. I'm very pink today. I've got a pink dress, pink scrunchie, pink lips, pink sprayed edges. Yeah, this one is set in New York City, and we're kind of following these 5 people who are like embodiments of the different boroughs of New York, and they're trying to like come together to defeat this kind of evil that's like out to get the city. And they're also trying to find the main avatar for New York, who, if he wakes up, then the kind of city will be like birthed. And so in this world, like cities kind of come to life, and New York's just like on the cusp of coming to life. So yeah, so it's fascinating, and there's so much like humor, but there's also so much kind of important like topics discussed, like kind of racism and classism, and just yeah, it's a really like powerful book, and all the characters are so great as well. Like I just love them, especially like Bronca. I loved her. And there's also quite a good like discussion around there's one character who's like very kind of bigoted. She's like the Staten Island. I don't really know much about Staten Island, but I guess if you're from there, maybe don't read this. It's kind of showing how being like bigoted and having all these backwards beliefs really sets like society back, and how it's very counterproductive. So yeah, I like that theme as well. And yeah, it's just really great. So and it's just such a vibrant book, like it just makes you feel kind of so happy and alive while you're reading it. So yeah, so I love this one. Okay, then next we have Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. So I actually have a whole video just gushing about Empire of Gold, and the first half is without spoilers, so you can watch that. But I just love this book so much. Yeah, just all seeing everyone and just how much they've grown since the first book, and just kind of the character arcs, they're just all so good. And even characters that I wasn't the biggest fan of just like grew on me so much in this book, like Dara. I just loved his growth. And the main villain in this series, Meniza, she's just such a she's one of my favourite villains ever. She's like such a tragic character, but she's also so like compelling, and she's kind of evil, but you're like, I don't know, at some parts you almost root for her. I don't know if that's right, but like you just kind of, yeah, you feel for her, and you can see why she's doing like what she's doing basically. And yeah, and just the conclusion and all the kind of character reunions and how everything wrapped up, I just loved it, and I just want more from this series. But yeah, if you want to hear me gush about that a bit more, I'll leave my Empire of Gold review linked. Okay, then next on my list we have a book that shall not be mentioned, so I'm gonna replace it with The Ruin of Kings. So there's like had the number 11 spot, but now it's been bumped up. So yeah, so this is by Jen Lians, And this book is just I think, well, it's really fun, and I know quite a lot of people find it confusing, but I just really loved it. I didn't find it that confusing, and I think it kind of is in parts, but characters are just so lovable. Like the main character, Kieran, oh, he's such like a little dumbass, but and he always just like goes and does the most stupid things, but I just love him. And yeah, and the kind of, it has such like convoluted family politics, which I really love, and the kind of world is so fascinating. And they have this thing called soul swapping, where you can like, if you kill someone, then you kind of, you become them, or I can't quite remember how it works, but yeah, it's really cool. And we're just kind of following Kieran's like life and how he's kind of growing up, and like he gets kind of taken into this powerful family, and then he like ends up as a slave, and then it all gets a bit complicated. But and then he ends up on this magical island at some point. Yeah, but I just really loved it. It's like such a fun ride, and it's quite like epic, and I'm really excited to read the next book, which I'm waiting for it to come out in paperback, but it should be coming really soon, so I'm very excited for that one. Oh, I should have put that on my June TBR. Oh well. So yeah, so I just really love this one. Also, I think like the main character, Kieran, he's kind of, I think he's like the chosen one, but not the chosen one in the normal way. He's like the chosen villain almost. So like in this prophecy, he's destined to become this great villain. So I think that's a really interesting twist as well on that. So yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. And then next, this one's not a fantasy, shocker, but I don't think it should be a surprise, and that is Check Please. So I chose volume 2 because I think I like volume 2 just a little bit more than volume 1, because just like the emotional like, oh, and then when they were all like leaving and oh, yeah, it's so wholesome. Like I cannot emphasize how wholesome this is. And Bitty, the main character, he's just the cutest, and like he always does all this baking for everyone, and that's so cute. And yeah, I just love him, and all the kind of squad as well. They're just all like there for each other, and it's just so great. And yeah, it'll just make you feel like I can't even articulate it into words, but I was having kind of a bad day when I read this, and I just read the whole thing in the afternoon, and it just cheered me up so much. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. Like it's so cute. If you like heart stopper, it's kind of like that, just like wholesomeness. So yeah, so this one, it's adorable, and yeah, you should all read it. So yeah. Okay, so then next we have Calibans War, which is the second book in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. So I really love the TV show for this one, so I was excited to read the books, and I just love this second book so much, so I hope you're proud of me, Lena, for having this book on this list. But yeah, it's just so good, and I love the kind of all the like not farming, but like plant stuff in this one. Like a lot of the plot takes place on like this Ganymede, which is like this kind of, in this world, it's like the farming planet almost. I don't know, that was really poorly explained. But yeah, I just loved it, and we're following some new characters as well. Avasarala, who's just such an icon. She's a big figure in the like UN, so she's quite a powerful like political player in this world, but she's just so funny. She like swears all the time. And she just, yeah, I just love it. And also Bobby, who is she's like a Martian, like marine, and she kind of, at the start of the book, she has this incident where she's the like sole survivor, so she's kind of dealing with this like PTSD throughout the book, and that's just really fascinating. And I love like Frankie Adams in the TV show, she's great. So yeah, so I love Bobby, and so yeah, I love the two new characters, and yeah, just the Rossi crew as well, I love them. And yeah, it's just a great series, and I'm so excited to carry on with it. So we'll see if another book like from later in the series makes it into the top 10 later in the year. I think I can basically predict my later half of the year top 10 from like new releases. But yeah, so I really loved Calibans War, so that's on there. Next is another sea war, that is Cry's War by Nina Varela. So this was actually the first book I read in 2020, and I loved it so much. It's like, the romance was like, mwah. It was so good. It's like slow burn, kind of enemies to lovers. And so we're following Cry, who's like this, she's kind of she's like, what are they called? Automaton? I'm not sure that's quite the right word, but anyway. So, and they're like they have the power in this society, and so she's like a princess, But then the rebel, Ayla, she kind of infiltrates the palace and she becomes a guard to Crier, but she's actually there to like assassinate Crier. And yeah, and it's just following their kind of relationship, and it kind of blooms into love, but also Ayla's kind of very conflicted about whether to kill her, and it's just such a great story, and I thought it was really well done. And yeah, I just loved both Crier and Ayla. They're both such great characters, and I'm really excited for the sequel, which is coming out in like September, I think. So yeah, very excited for that. Yeah, so finally I saved the best to last, and that is Jade World by Fondly. Oh no, Jade City. Well, Jade War as well. They're both on here, but I think, I don't know, I feel like, oh, I don't know now, I'm having a crisis. I put Jade City on my list, but I also feel like I kind of love Jade World more. But anyway, I'll leave it at Jade City because that's like the first book in the series. So yeah, so I just love this series so much. It's like this kind of, it's very like Peaky Blinders-esque, but it's set in this world where it's like jade is this kind of commodity, and the more jade you have, like the more powerful you are. And there's these two like main clans who are kind of warring, and we're following one of the clans, the No Peak clan, and the kind of top, like the top family in that clan. And yeah, and it's just so fascinating, and the characters are also great. So we're kind of following Lan, who's like the kind of leader, and he's trying to like live up to his father's like shoes. And then Hilo, who's like his feral younger brother, who's kind of like the enforcer of the clan. And then Shay, who's like their kind of estranged sister. Well, she's kind of been away for a while in this different country, and now she's sort of coming back and trying to find a place in the family. And then also Andon, who's like, who's the gay cousin. That's literally what he is. Yeah, so he's trying to like fit in the clan, and yeah, because he's like not one of the siblings, he's like the cousin, so he's trying to like fit in. Yeah, and he's so adorable. He's such a cinnamon roll. Oh, bless him. And yeah, and Hilo, I love Hilo. And Shay, oh, she's so great. Yeah, but I just love them all. And the sibling dynamic, especially between Hilo and Shay, because they're very much like, they're like clash against each other a lot, but throughout the series you really see them kind of grow like together and become this like power team. So yeah, so I just love this series so much, and I'm so excited for Jade Legacy. And yeah, I'm every opportunity I have to plug it, I will, because I just love it. And yeah, you should all read it. So yeah, so that is everything. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below with what your favourite read of the year so far has been. I would love to know. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.